Congressional redistricting is not just an abstract phrase in Florida. We've seen the impact on the 5th district race with Jacksonville's Corrine Brown. Now we're meeting a Democrat from North Central Florida with some powerful name recognition.
Our state government is just dysfunctional, and this causes me to rethink how I can best serve the people of North Florida and our state. Floridians are hungry for new leadership. U.S.
Representative Gwen Graham joining us, already earning praise in a run for governor in 2018.
I think Congresswoman Graham would be a formidable candidate. There will be several, I suspect, that from both sides that will seek the governorship.
That's Rod Smith, former chairman for the Florida Democratic Party. He's also a local candidate for state Senate. Plus, one of 5 Republicans running for U.S. Senate. Our conversation with Carlos Lopez-Quintero on This Week in Jacksonville. And thanks so much for joining us this Sunday morning. You're going to know her father's name for sure, and she's making quite a name for herself now in public service. Joining us here in Jacksonville, Congresswoman Gwen Graham. Thank you so much. Our first chance to get to meet each other.
It is so great, Kent. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you're here in Jacksonville. So what about this? What has your father's influence been on you? I know you had some public service kind of things you did before ever running for office.
Well, obviously, I'm such a proud daughter. I love my father, and he served this state so well and the country so well. And in a completely unbiased opinion, is the true example of what a public servant is. But I had not thought I was going to follow in his path at all in terms of offering myself for public service until I woke up one morning in 2012, and I thought, you know, what I love to do, which is bring people together who often disagree and find a good, positive solution so we can all move forward, is exactly what Congress needs. And so I ran. I can only be myself. And I ran just as someone that loves people and wants to make a difference and looked forward to getting to Washington and being someone that wasn't driven by the party politics, but was driven by doing what was right for the people that give me the honor of being there.
Well, that sounds like the reputation of your father, somebody who worked across the aisle and tried to do things that were bipartisan nature. So I'm looking this up. You ran for Congress with a promise to bring the North Florida way. What is that, and can you do that when you're maybe running for governor? We'll talk about that in a moment.
Absolutely, because the North Florida way was just a summary of what I know we all want. Which is work together, care about one another. You can disagree with someone and not demonize them. And I have built...
Not in today's politics. Doesn't seem like it anyway.
I know it can be done because I've done it. And I have had the opportunity to make so many friendships across the aisle. And there is an app I have on my phone. It's called Congress. I know they searched long and hard to come up with that name for the app. But it allowed me... I would go home at night and I would look at everybody's face and put a name to the face. And so when I walk on the floor, I'm able to say hello on a first name basis with so many members across the spectrum. And I really believe that that's what we have to get back to.
Not just your colleagues in Congress. I heard you just tell our floor director a moment ago, say, call me Gwen. So obviously very, very personal about that. Let me ask about that issue of redistricting. You ran in what you called a fair district, and then redistricting happened. And now even the one that Corine Brown is in from Jacksonville has moved. It goes east-west, even into Tallahassee, where you live.
And west from Tallahassee, as a matter of fact.
So you've decided not to run for Congress, and your official announcement here in the last month or so was, I'm seriously exploring a run for governor in 2018. Why the change to state politics versus on that federal level?
Well, first, it was a very difficult decision because, as we've discussed, I love being in Congress. It is such a good environment for me to do what I like to do, which is bring people together. And in making the decision, I thought about what possibly could be in my future. I don't think you run for a seat, run for an office, and ask people to support you unless you intend to fully serve out that term. And my heart and my head is really leading me towards possibly running for governor in 2018. And so with the redistricting, it was, you know, there were multiple considerations. Sure. With the redistricting, I thought that I really would like to consider running for governor, and it wouldn't have been fair, regardless of whether I would win or lose. At the end of the day, unless I was committed to serving out that term, it wasn't fair to ask people to support me. And so I made that tough choice.
Yeah, and you, I'm sure, heard some criticism of that when people said, wait, why is she against redistricting? This is a legal process and so on. But it is clear that there are certain congressional districts that favor one party or the other based on how they're drawn.
Right, and I'm not. I mean, I believe fully we should redistrict the entire country. I'm not against redistricting. And in fact, have believed in it since the constitutional amendment was put in place in 2010. So what happened in North Florida, I almost feel like it was collateral damage to the rest of the state. And I hope that we did come out of it with more balanced districts, more fairer districts, however you want to say it, because the challenge we face in Congress is that the decision as to who you elect is often decided in the primary, not in the general election. And if you have a balanced district, the people of that district get to decide between two different candidates of two different parties, and I think that that provides for better governing.
Yeah, there are a lot of folks even here in the area who think there are a lot of shenanigans that go on to close primaries and make sure
shenanigans?
How about that?
I find that hard to believe.
Let me ask about a couple of things. One, we talked about this bipartisan nature. I've got a letter here that you and Congressman Andrew Crenshaw wrote, and this is to the Secretary of the United States Air Force. Tell me about this, and obviously this is one of those examples of working across party lines.
Everything I have done has been in a bipartisan nature, everything. And I think that's so important. It sends the message that this is not a Republican issue or a Democratic issue. It's the right issue, and it's the right solution. And this letter regards the possibility that the base here might get some F-35s. And I think as a member of the Armed Services Committee that I want to be a part of advocating on behalf of Jacksonville to be considered to receive F-35s.
That's not a red issue or a blue issue. That's an issue for Florida and our National Armed Services, right?
Well, and as a member of the Armed Services Committee, I have been so incredibly proud to represent the men and women that serve our country and to work on behalf of the veterans that deserve our utmost respect and our utmost support when they come back from active duty. And this is just another component of that. We should remove the politics from issues that should be of mutual importance to Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah. Well, one of those things here in Florida may be Zika virus. I saw that you're talking about that. We heard even this week Governor Scott was talking to the White House saying we need some money, some support. What do you think needs to happen there? What kind of support do we need?
Well, the reality is that the Congress is responsible for appropriating funds. And I have been a leader in the Congress in terms of asking for full funding. I just did a work day. Do you know what work days are?
Yeah, really impressive. I saw you flying as a matter of fact.
I did. I flew as a fighter pilot. It was wonderful. I'll go up anytime. But the Zika work day was focused on, I worked with the mosquito control department in Bay County to learn on the ground what are the real challenges that those that are going to be expected to fight, God forbid fight, but fight this virus if it comes into Florida. Right now we have cases that have come in from people that have traveled to areas where Zika is unfortunately already very prominent. But we can't be short-sighted about this, and I am very financially conservative. I am known as someone that cares about every single dime that is spent. I was actually able to return 10% of my office's operating budget back to the U.S. Treasury because I made sure that we spent every dime conservatively. So it can be done, but we don't want to be in a position where we need to have mosquito patrol protection activities going on, or a scientist is close to developing a vaccine, and all of a sudden the funding runs out. Right. So if there was ever a time not to be short-sighted about delaying the resources being ready and available, it's now.
Well, let me wrap up by just mentioning that you said you're strongly considering that run for governor. You're already getting some endorsements. I want to show you a couple here. One is from Senator Bill Nelson saying Gwen has been a great partner to work with in the House, from her work on the Apalachicola Bay to fighting oil drilling off our beaches. She always puts Florida first. She's accomplished much, and I know that we're going to continue to see great things from her in the future. Of course, we know Senator Nelson well around here. And then somebody else from around here, Tony Hill, our former state senator. I'm excited to join Gwen in this history-making moment for our state, and look forward to assisting her in her future endeavors. So I guess when we get to that point when you say, yeah, absolutely, you've got some people who are going to be cheering you on here.
Well, it's wonderful to have people who care about the future of Florida, and look forward to possibly working together to protect our future.
Great to get to meet you. Thanks for spending some time with us this morning.
Thank you, Ken. It was a pleasure. Please invite me back.
All right, you got it. All right, coming up, Florida's Lieutenant Governor working toward August 30th and a primary election, his most recent tour, and his claim to running for a seat in Washington. He'll explain that next.
Can your kid's sunscreen pass the wet skin challenge? Neutrogena Wet Skin does. On wet skin, ordinary sunscreen mixes with water and drips. Neutrogena Wet Skin sprays on and stays on. Forms a UVA-UVB barrier. Wet skin. Neutrogena.
Play Monsoon.
The usual.
Yep.
How are you tracking?
Right on time.
The 2016 Toyota Corolla. The perfect ride for the perfect drive.
See you tomorrow.
Get a 2-year lease on a new 2016 Toyota Corolla LE for $159 a month. Toyota, let's go places.
I am dedicated to defending our Constitution, safeguarding individual liberties, and respecting the rule of law.
Republican Melissa Nelson, the constitutional conservative, praised by the NRA and respected by law enforcement.
Northeast Florida families deserve safe streets and a justice system that is tough but fair.
Melissa Nelson's 12 years of experience as a prosecutor means she knows how to get the job done. Melissa Nelson, a conservative we can trust. Sponsored by First Coast Values.
Imagine being in this classroom, only you don't understand what anyone is saying. This is what it's like for refugee high school students, and their risk of dropping out is great. Until now, they could get help from a program that kept 99% of them in school. Without your help, the program will soon disappear. By giving just $10, you can show refugee teens that we understand.
You need some help?
And want to help them understand too. Visit weunderstandjax.com.
Golden Corral's 7-day shrimp extravaganza. Make your weekend shrimp-tastic. New garlic parmesan shrimp skewers. Peel and eat shrimp, Southwest grilled shrimp, and coconut shrimp. Dinner's $13.99. Monday through Thursday, enjoy shrimp Creole, shrimp tacos, and more. Dinner's $11.99. Only at Golden Corral.
8:45 a.m. Southside. 550 athletes, 4 counties, 1 tough competition. Volunteering to help Special Olympic athletes have the time of their lives. That's why when Evelyn gets up, she turns on Channel 4. She can track fast-moving storms with the Weather Authority app, find trouble spots with time-saver traffic, and get breaking news from a team she considers family. On these fields, volunteers make special smiles happen. In Jacksonville, the morning show makes mornings happen.
You're watching This Week in Jacksonville with Kent Justice.
Senator Marco Rubio has made himself pretty visible in Northeast Florida lately. A man hoping to succeed Rubio and hoping to hear Rubio's endorsement soon. Joined us in studio recently, Lieutenant Governor Carlos Lopez-Cantera explained his Florida First tour and why he is not campaigning on the taxpayer's dime. Lieutenant Governor, great to see you, and I appreciate you telling me a little bit about this tour that you're doing, Florida First. What is it, and what's the goal for you?
Well, it's great to see you again, Kent. Thank you for having me. You know, I'm running for the U.S. Senate, and if you listen to candidates for the U.S. Senate, they talk a lot about Washington, D.C., and the issues that are being talked about on cable news. They're not talking about Florida. I want to put Florida first. I recognize that this seat, this senator is going to represent the state of Florida. I represent the state of Florida right now. I love this state. I know this state from top to bottom, from Escambia to Monroe County. I know its needs. I know where the federal government, for instance, has let the state down. A big issue for this community, for instance, is the port in Jacksonville. It's got a big funding requirement coming up to be able to complete the dredging. They've had their issues with the Army Corps of Engineers, but it looks like they're working through that. But in order for this port to be able to beat Savannah to market by 2023, the federal government's going to have to make good on its commitment for its funding. The state's going to do its part, and the state's already invested $1 billion in the ports in Florida. But that's an issue like right here at home that nobody else is talking about, but I know it because I've been to the port in Jacksonville. And it wasn't while I was campaigning, it was because I represent this state.
So right now, as you do this tour, it sounds like you're trying to get to different parts of the state. And is that specifically to ask the question, constituent. What's important to you in your area of Florida?
Absolutely. I mean, in any elected office, the most important thing anyone can do is listen. I'm the only person in this race. Frankly, I still don't understand why I'm the only person in this race who is committed to have monthly town hall meetings as Florida's next senator, to be in Florida listening. Because I've had the experience, when I was property appraiser especially, I had monthly town hall meetings. You get great ideas from people who are on the receiving end of government. Their experiences can help you target where your energies should be focused on, because they're experiencing things that, for instance, I, coming from a real estate development background, maybe I may have never experienced something that a restaurant owner is telling me. That is the best way someone can represent any constituency. And, you know, with all the things that the federal government is involved in these days, there's never going to be a lack of issues to be working on. And I like solving problems for people.
Well, one of the issues that's brought up by one of these other candidates, there's 5 of you as Republicans running for this U.S. Senate seat, is, hey, I don't think that the lieutenant governor is doing that job. He's out campaigning. What is the role of lieutenant governor, and how do you not let that cross over the line of being a campaigner right now, too?
Well, first consider the source. It doesn't surprise me that a campaign opponent is saying something negative about me. I mean, my goodness, how shocking. Look, you'd be surprised how much you can get done from a cell phone. My office is actually in a Chevy Suburban that we're driving around the state every day. We logged 8,000 miles just in the month of April within Florida. And you can make phone calls. I solved problems for someone with the Department of Business and Professional Regulation today on a homeowners association issue by phone. Now, if I had a lot of the events that could be considered state and campaign on that calendar, then the criticism would be, well, he's putting campaign events on his state calendar. So when a competitor in a campaign criticizes, you understand, everybody understands why. I always put this job first. I'm proud of what Governor Scott and I have done here in Florida. We've cut taxes 55 times. We said we were going to cut $1 billion in taxes in the first 2 years after the campaign for re-election, and we did. We have a 7-year low in our unemployment rate, over 1 million new jobs. We have 600,000 people moved to Florida in the last 2 years, 105 million tourists. Our new tourism numbers for the first quarter, 30 million tourists. It's another record being set. This is what we said we were going to do, and we're doing it. You know, in this job, part of my job is to push our agenda and educate people around the state and around the country, frankly, what we're doing here in Florida. People aren't accustomed to the types of changes that we've made in just 5 short years. Florida is no longer just Disney World. That's what a lot of people from other places think. This is now a place to do business. This is now a place where you can work, live in a safe community, and your kids can get a great education that prepares them to be productive members of society.
Yeah, there's some great universities in the state, and we know here in Jacksonville it's a great place for entrepreneurs as well, so appreciate hearing your thoughts on that. One of the things I don't hear you doing is what some of the folks on the national side have done, and there's a candidate in this race who's kind of taken that approach of, I'm angry about everything. Is there a way forward for a Republican to be a U.S. Senator and not get mixed up in all of that, I'm angry?
Well, I am angry, and a lot of people are angry, and for good cause. One of the things I talk a lot about is the difference between Washington Republicans and Florida Republicans. Here in Florida,
there's a difference?
There is a difference, absolutely. Here in Florida, we said what we were going to do, and we've done it. We are a model for the rest of the country, frankly for Washington, D.C., of how a conservative approach to government works. I mean, we were one of the worst states hit by the recession. Now we're one of the best states coming out of the recession. It was because we reformed our pension system, we reformed our Medicaid system, we said no to the expansion of Obamacare, we paid down $7.5 billion in state debt, we balanced our budget, we've eliminated over 4,000 regulations, we have accountability in our agencies. We have done the things that others, like, you know, Congressman DeSantis and Jolly, they complain a lot about the problems that are in Washington, D.C., and they can deliver a great red meat speech about it, yet the one thing they always leave out of the speech is, I'm a sitting member of Congress right now, I am in a position of power, and I've been wholly ineffective at doing anything about these problems. So send me to the Senate, give me a promotion so I can be ineffective there, give me a break. I've been here in Florida, and I have the scars to prove it, because these weren't easy things to do. Taking on the teachers union to eliminate, you know, guaranteed contracts for tenure for teachers that were not producing results for our students, which are the ultimate, reason why we have an education system. It's not to protect poor teachers. It's to ensure that our students are prepared to go to high school and then go to college and then get a job. That's what we've been focused on. That's what we've been working on. And I've been able to deliver results. That's what people want. They want results. That is the anger that is focused towards D.C. The Republicans, when they won the House and they won the Senate, they ran on a specific platform, and they haven't delivered on any of it. Here in Florida, we ran on a specific platform, and we've delivered on all of it. That's the difference between a Washington Republican and a Florida Republican.
All right, a former senator and again a candidate for state senate appearing next on This Week in Jacksonville. Rod Smith, the recent leader of the Florida Democratic Party and well-known attorney. Stay with us.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Special news bulletin just released. Dick Gore's RV World in Jacksonville offers top dollar for your diesel or gas motorhome. Contact Dick Gore's RV World now to consign or sell your motorhome today. 904-741-5100. Take I-95 to the airport exit.
Make tomorrow awesome with Xfinity TV from Comcast. Right now, you can get Xfinity TV for just $19.99 a month for 12 months with Xfinity On Demand included. Call 1-800-566-8080 today. Xfinity On Demand delivers thousands of hit shows, top movies, and more at no additional cost. So you can catch up on the latest episodes of TV's hottest shows anytime, anywhere. Switch to Xfinity TV for just $19.99 a month for 12 months with Xfinity On Demand included. Plus, ask how you can add HBO, Showtime, or Stars and enjoy award-winning TV shows and movies at home and on the go. There's no term contract and no early termination fee. Plus, it's all backed by our 30-day money-back guarantee. So it's risk-free. Tomorrow could be awesome if you call today. Call 1-800-566-8080. That's 1-800-566-8080. Xfinity, the future of awesome.
John and I met in law school. Two of our sons work with us every day. Morgan & Morgan is a family business, and we are in the business of helping you when an accident devastates your life. This is what we've done for almost 30 years now. We understand your financial needs and obligations and how the loss of income or unpaid medical bills can be overwhelming. Our family is here for your family. Oh, and just so you know, I'm a grandma now. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Who wants a hot dog? Don't yawn talk this Memorial Day. Come to Mattress Firm's Memorial Day sale. It's the final days. Now through Sunday, all mattresses are still on sale. Sealy Queen sets are just $299.99. Plus, receive up to a $400 Visa prepaid card by mail on select Tempur-Breeze adjustable sets. And through Sunday, get 0% APR for 5 years. But hurry, Mattress Firm's Memorial Day sale ends Sunday.
This is Pastor R.J. Washington of the Titus Harvest Dome. Join us on Channel 4 every Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. We're going to have a God time. Yes.
First, a local cemetery owner accused of disgracing the dead. Now, more families traumatized.
And he just covers lies to cover lies.
What the I-Team just uncovered that could land him in more hot water. Monday on the 10 o'clock news.
Former state attorney in Alachua County, former state senator, former chairman for the Florida Democratic Party. Those are some of the credentials for Rod Smith, who visited with me recently to explain his reason for running for office once again.
I really had kind of a transformative event in our lives, or my family's life. My son became very ill with cancer, and we went through a lot of work over at the hospitals, and we began to get very involved, seeing what's going on. And I believe that the state's got a tremendous dearth of investment in health care. I think that if the legislature spent one night in the pediatric oncology wing, we wouldn't be debating whether or not we should take the Medicaid transfer. It wouldn't matter which party you were in, you'd be in favor of it. I believe that particularly in Putnam County and North Marion, places that I had served before, I think the economy's been very challenging the last several years. As you know, there's been a robust economy some places, but it hasn't gone back there yet. And I think that we've got to go down there and invest in the infrastructure that is needed to have better schools there, which will allow us to get attract and retain the kind of businesses we need to put those counties back kind of on the footing they are. I believe the economic engine of the University of Florida and its research is critical for North Central Florida's success. The next generation of great jobs is in a laboratory somewhere right now, and we've got to support that as a state. So, and then of course my law enforcement background. I have been disappointed in some of the recent developments. I believe that public safety reform is important, but you got to remember our focus has always got to be on public safety.
And as the former state attorney in the 8th Judicial Circuit, I followed up Smith's answer on law enforcement. I asked him what he means specifically about reforms there.
I thought last year they went a long way on the death penalty issue. I hope they don't go any farther. I think it's far enough. I think people misunderstand and believe that, well, if we go to a unanimous verdict, the problem is that the way we would have to revamp the entire death penalty at that point, because the way we normally have unanimous verdicts, if you don't reach unanimous verdict, you retry the case because it's a hung jury. You can't have a hung jury in a death case, essentially. You only have one vote. And so now what I would see happening is, rather than do the kind of debate that normally takes place back in the jury room, we'd be making decisions that may or may not reflect what a robust debate. What happens if you don't get a unanimous, if there's one holdout? Are you saying because of one holdout, we don't have the death penalty, but we don't get a retrial on that issue? I think that's tough for victims and prosecutors. So I think all those debates have to happen. I think there's also issues of making sure that our system is perceived and is practiced fair. I've been involved in a number of law enforcement related shootings during the course of my career. Those have taken on new scrutiny, some of which absolutely were justified, the scrutiny, but all of which people need to understand that it's very, very difficult for law enforcement officers sometimes to make decisions they have to make in the blink of an eye. And so I want to make sure there's balance there. Again, we also want to make sure that in every community, particularly in minority communities, there's a sense that they're being treated fairly, that they're getting the justice they're entitled to, and that they don't start off with one strike against them in anybody's eye.
Senator Smith told us he thinks Gwen Graham, that you heard from at the beginning of the show, will be a formidable candidate for governor, but also imagines other good candidates appearing on the scene in the next 2 years. Final big day of primary elections takes place this Tuesday, with California, the Dakotas, a handful of other states, Washington, D.C. holding a primary June 14th. Just won't have the same weight. This Week in Jacksonville airs each Sunday morning at this time. We look forward to seeing you next week. I'm Cat Justice. Thanks for watching.
At News 4 Jax, we're always covering the news, even when we're not on TV. Stay informed, on the go, and online at news4jax.com.